Hey, what's up guys? In this tutorial we're going to implement hash tables in JavaScript. So we can also say them as objects in JavaScript or dictionaries in Python, and these have different names for different programming languages. In the previous lecture we have covered about the different topics about the introduction of hash tables. We have learned what is hashing, what is the hash function, collision in hash tables, and also how to perform different operations and what are their time complexities. And in the last section we have covered the difference between the arrays and the hash tables. So if you haven't watched this tutorial, I will recommend you to watch this as well, which is this hash tables data structure tutorial. And in this tutorial we are going to implement the hash table in JavaScript. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So first of all, what we will do is we will create a class with the name of hash table. So we will create a class, and in this class we will have a constructor, and in this constructor we will set this size is equal to 50. And first of all we will have this dot buckets array. So this will be the array in which the data will be stored. So the length of this array will be equal to the size, which will be 50. You can set any size that you want according to your requirements. So first of all we will create this buckets array with the size of this 50, and then we will have a this dot size is equal to size. So this dot size will be the size of the array, and the size of array is 50, which is the value stored in this variable size. So here we will set this dot size is equal to the size. Now in order to create a hash table, as we go into the previous tutorial, here you will see here, in order to perform different operations we need a hash function. So what this hash function will do, it will receive a key and convert them into some address of the memory. You will see here when I will create this. So first let's create this hash function. So what this hash function will do, it will receive the key that will pass as an argument when we will call this function. So it will return, or we can say it will convert this key into to string, and then we will check the length of this string, and then we will use mod, or we can say module this dot size. So we have to remove this dot here. So this will return us a number, or we can say the index of an array. So this is in this way we can get the index of an array, or we can say the memory location on which our key value pairs will be stored. So we will use hash function when we will set the item in the array, or we can say we can get the item in the array. So I will create these functions set item and get items, and then you will see what is the role of this hash function. So basically you can visualize here that it receives the key, and then what it, so for example let's create an object. So I have created an object earlier, that person is equal to name is equal to John. So let's see, this is an object and the name here is key, and this name will be provided to this hash function, and this hash function will convert this name, this string into a some what we can some index in the memory, or we can say the address in the memory, and at that address this data, this key value pair will be stored. So when we want to access this data, we simply use that address to get this information. So basically this is the role of the hash function. Now what I want to do is I want to create a function to insert the data in the hash table. So insert the data in the hash table. Now let's create a function for it. I will give it the name of set item, and in this set item we will provide key and value. And then let's create a variable index, and then call this function hashtable, and then provide the key. So the function that the hash function that we have created here, we are calling it here when we are setting the item in this buckets array. What we will do is we will pass this key in this hash function, and this hash function will convert this key into the some memory location in this array, and at that memory location this key value pair will be stored. So let's move towards the next part. So here I will check the condition that if this dot buckets index, for example, we have this buckets array, and if there is no index in this buckets array, then what we will do, we will create this dot buckets index, we will set equal to as an empty array. So what does it means, that if there will be no index, or there is no location, or we can say there is no space, this dot buckets index, then we will set this dot buckets that index to this empty array, and in this array this key value pair will be stored. So this is the if condition. Now else what we want to do is we want to set this dot buckets and the index, and in this index we will push our key value pairs, not just value, both the key and the value. Now you can see if there is a space in our array, then we will set it like this, otherwise we will create an array, empty array, and then we will push it here, push it in this. So now in this way we can set our key value in this dot buckets. Now what we will return from this function is just the index where we have stored where we have stored our key value pairs. So I will return index from this function. Now we have created a function for setting the key value pairs in our memory. Now the next thing that we want to the thing that we want to implement is to search the data, or we can say to get the data from this buckets array. So for this we will create another function which with the name of get item. So what this function will do, it will perform some operation or some logic in order to get the data that we have set with the help of this set item function. So after what we can say, after performing these two functions, then we will see the results outside of this function, or we can say outside of this class, by console.log in the terminal. Then you will clearly see what is happening. Now first of all, create a function which with the name of get item, and this get item will receive a key, the data that we want to get. For example, if I have set a key value pair and I want to access the data in this hash table, I will provide the key as an argument, and here we will receive the key as a parameter of this function, and then with the help of this key we will get the access to that data. So first of all I will set the let index what is that? Let index is equal to this dot hash, the function that we have created earlier, the hash function, this one. We will provide this key, and we will check the index where this key has been stored. So now create the if condition, that if this dot buckets, and in this buckets there will be no index, then what we will do is we will just return null, because this key that we have provided is not available here. is not present in the memory. You can, instead of returning the null, you can also return that the item is not present in the memory. So this is the check that we want to implement, that in the case that if the key that we have passed is not present in the memory. So this if statement will check this condition. Now what I will do is I will run the for loop here. So the for loop will check let bucket of this dot bucket dot index. So it will run the for loop here. So it will run the for loop here. This dot buckets array. I have used the different syntax. You can also use the original for loop syntax, which will be this one. Let I is equal to 0 and index will be less than this dot buckets dot length. You can also use this in one. Now this for loop will iterate through this array and it will check if the key that we have passed is equal to the keys, for example these keys in the array, and if it will be equal then we want to return the value of it. So let's check it here in this for loop. So I will, here we will check the key. So if bucket 0 is equal to key, then I want to return the value of it. So now what I want to do is I want to return the bucket and 1. Now you will see what is happening here. So I will say return value, and here I will write check key. Let's save it, and now you will see that this is the key value pair in our array. So when we will run the for loop, it will check that, for example, this is the one item in our array and this is the bucket, and bucket at index 0 means it will check this key here. So if this key is equal to the key that we have provided, then I want to return the bucket 1, which will be the value. So now I think you will clearly understood what is happening here. Now let's create some instance of this class here. So let's create const hash table, oops, and then new hash table. So it will be the instance of this class, and now insert, not insert the data into this hash table. Now in order to insert the data in this hash table, what we will do is we will use the set item function or method that we have created earlier, and then we will provide the index, which will be 0 1. At the index 0 1 I will give my name Arslan, and at hash, so it will be the key 0 1, and the hash function will convert this key into some or we can say some memory location in the array or the index in the array. Now I will set the 0 to position to, we can say, software engineer. Let's save it, and in this way you can set the data in the hash table. And now let's see if we can get this data or not. So we can search the data from the hash table. So let's uh, get the data from the hash table. So let's use hash table and the get item method, and then provide the key. So let's provide the key of 0 1 here, and let's console.log it. So let's see. So console.log this. Now in the terminal, let's see if we are getting the data here or not. So the terminal, clear the terminal. Now we'll run this file with the help of node, which will be node index.js. Now you will see the magic happens here, that I'm getting the data that I have set here at 01 key Arslan, and when I provide this key to this get item method, that it has got the data access from the this buckets array. So now let's get the data at memory location 2, or not memory location, key to 02 that we have provided, and run the code again. Now you will see we are getting the value of this key, which is the software engineer that we have set here. Now you will see how can we implement the hash table in JavaScript. So at last I review the code again so you can clearly understood what is happening here. So first of all, we have created a class with the name of hashtables. Then we have created this constructor function or method. So what this function method will do, whenever we will create the new instance of class, this will automatically run. So for example, if I have created the hash table instance of this, it will automatically set this dot buckets to new array size of 50, and this dot size is equal to the size, which is the 50. Then we have created the hash function, so I will comment it out. Hash function. Now then I have created this hash function. So what this hash method will do is that it will receive the key and it will convert this key into some indexing in the array, or we can say some address in the memory. So we will convert this key into string, and we will use the length of the string, and we will use module operator and the size of an array. The size, for example, if the size of an array is 10, the index or the result we got from this operation will be between 0 to 10 or 1 to 10. So it will not be above 10, it will be less than the length of an array. So it will create some address in the memory, and at that address we will push our key value pairs and store at that address. Now we have created the insert data function or method here. So with the name of set item, so it will receive the key value pairs that we want to set in the memory or in the hash table. So first of all, it will create the index at which we want to store the data. So we will call this hash function this dot hash, and we will provide this key. So it will choose some or we can say it will calculate some index and store in this index variable. So if this dot buckets index, so if there will be no index, what we will do is we will create this array, or we can say we will set this index to this empty array. Else what we want to do is at that index this dot buckets index dot push key value. So at that position or location or address, we will push our key value pairs in this array form, and we will return the index from this method. Now we will use the, or we can say get the data from the hash table. Then we have created the get item in order to get the data from the hash table. So this get method will receive this key from the parameter. So first of all, we will check the index of this hash with the help of this hash function. So if there will be no key with this name in the index, then what we will do is we will return the null. Else we will run the for loop on this buckets array, and we will check if this bucket with the index of 0 is equal to this key. So for example, if in the buckets this key, so bucket at index 0 means we are checking this key is equal to the key that we have receiving as a parameter from this method, that if they will be equal, then we will return the bucket 1 or at index 1, which will be the value. If the key will be equal to this one, then we will return the value from our hash table. Here we have checked we have created the instance of this hash table class, and then we have set the data in our hash table with the help of hash table dot set item method, and then we have used this hash table dot get item method to go access the data in the hash table. So I hope you have learned something from this video or tutorial. So don't forget to like the video and subscribe to this channel, and also tell me in the comments what you have learned from this tutorial and what kind of videos or tutorials you want in the future. So this is going to be the fourth video of this data structures and algorithms. So in the first tutorial we have learned about the big O notation in complete details, everything you need to learn about the big O notation. So if you have any what you can say doubts about this big O notation, you can clearly understand everything about the big O notation in this tutorial. And then I have created the second tutorial on the array data structure. So here I have explained the different operations in the array data structure. What are their time complexities? With the help of the big O notation we can calculate what are their space complexities. And then we have also built the array data structure from scratch. And then in the third tutorial we have learned about the hash tables and the different things in the hash tables, and these such as the hashing, hash function, collision, and different operations. And then we have compared the arrays and the hash tables. Now in the fourth tutorial we are implementing the hash table from scratch in JavaScript. So this is the fourth tutorial of this series. I hope you have enjoyed this series or enjoying this series, enjoying the content. So if you want any kind of tutorials in the future, you can comment in this video, so I will make the next tutorials on those topics. So at the end I want to ask you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell icon so you will receive the notifications next time when I will upload the video. So this is the end of the tutorial. Have a nice day. Bye.